Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top story tonight comes from Bangladesh. There have been fresh attacks on temples in the country before the festival of Durga Puja. The situation is alarming, to say the least, and there are serious concerns over what all of this means for the Hindu community in Bangladesh. We decode the latest developments for you, and that's coming up in just a bit. Meanwhile, here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. The Houthis have struck the heart of Israel. How will Benjamin Netanyahu react? And what does all of this mean for the region? We tell you all that you need to know. A special report coming up from Jammu and Kashmir as it gears up for the assembly elections. Typhoon Bebinca is wreaking havoc in Shanghai. We get you the latest from on the ground. All this and more coming up. Tonight, our top story comes from Bangladesh, where Islamists are on the warpath. They seek to strip away everything that the country has fought for and represents. You see, ever since a student-led revolution forced former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to resign and flee the country, Bangladesh has only descended further into chaos. From commemorating Muhammad Ali Jinnah to aggressively pushing to rekindle ties with Pakistan, from curbing the rights of its minorities to burning down houses and places of worship. All of this has happened and the situation is alarming. And who's facing the worst of it all? The Hindu community in Bangladesh. Have a look at these images. What you see on your screen are images showing the desecration of Hindu idols. They have been vandalized at a temple in Bangladesh's Faridpur. Of course, we have blurred those images for you, but they are quite upsetting, to say the least. According to local media reports, the law enforcers claimed to have detained an Indian citizen for his alleged involvement. Who is the accused? 45-year-old Sanjeev Biswas. He has been sent to a court in connection with the charge, according to a press statement of the superintendent of Faridpur police. Here's a picture of the man, but there's no more information as of now. According to the press statement cited by the publication, the police during the investigation found one person sleeping on an abandoned cot in front of the temple. And following his suspicious behavior, as per reports, the police detained the unknown person to ascertain his identity. And at one point of the interrogation, he confessed that he is an Indian citizen. Note here, at no point is it clear that the Indian man in custody has vandalized the temple. So is that it, or is there more to all of this? What started out as a protest against a quota system for government jobs has led to a situation in which, unfortunately, Hindus have become soft targets. Their temples are being desecrated, their houses torched, and their places of work attacked. The latest incident has sent shockwaves throughout the country. The vandalism reportedly took place on Saturday. Idols constructed for the upcoming Durga Puja festival were desecrated. According to local media reports, local residents say that the incident took place between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. at the Bhanga Bazaar Hari Mandir and the Bhanga Sarobjanin Kali Mandir. What's more, the temple is located in front of a police station. The construction of the idols of the temple had already been completed, but the painting was yet to be done. A total of 14 idols were built for the upcoming Durga Puja festivities, but 8 of them were destroyed. Quick backgrounder here. In a few weeks, Durga Puja, the biggest and most popular festival among Bengalis, will be celebrated. The making of the idols for the week of festivities is a time-honored tradition. As the autumn season approaches, skilled idol makers who work on these idols for the entire year are nearing the final stages of crafting their masterpieces. These idols take almost the entire year to make and hold a lot of cultural significance along with the week of Durga Puja. Yet, 8 idols were so brazenly destroyed. The president of the temple where the incident took place has said that Durga Puja has been performed in this temple for the last 75 years and such an incident has never happened before. Police intelligence teams are working to identify the perpetrators and the matter is being thoroughly investigated. Yet the point is, something has changed. The Hindu community in Bangladesh is living in fear. They just do not feel safe as Hindus have become targets for unruly mobs. In fact, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already told the chief advisor to the new interim government in Bangladesh, Professor Muhammad Yunus, to protect and provide security to Hindus in the country. However, despite the clear message of New Delhi, the Muhammad Yunus-led interim government in Bangladesh has asked the Hindus to pause the celebrations during namaz and azan. Last week, the Bangladesh Home Affairs Advisor, Lieutenant General retired Jahangir Alam Chaudhary, also said that puja committees had been asked to turn off sound systems and avoid playing musical instruments. The question is this the end of democracy in Bangladesh as we knew it? Is this what the protesters envisioned for their country? In the immediate aftermath of Sheikh Hasina's ouster last month, houses and business establishments of Hindus were attacked by mobs across the country. Their valuables were also looted in at least 27 districts. Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami, which is a major Islamist political party in the country, admitted to targeting temples. And since then, multiple temples in Bangladesh have been attacked, set on fire and destroyed. Local Hindu leaders have also been lynched, attacked or forced to flee. According to reports, Hindus make up about 8% of Bangladesh's population. That's around 13.1 million people. In the year 1951, the share of Hindus in Bangladesh's population was 22%. The Hindu American Foundation says that over 11 million Hindus fled Bangladesh due to religious persecution between 1964 and 2013. Now, once again, Hindus are fearing more attacks. Why are Hindus, a minority community in Bangladesh, being attacked in the first place? What is their fault? What is even being achieved by all of this? Bangladesh, once East Pakistan, fought a blood-drenched war against Pakistani forces. Bangla pride was the central pillar of its independence movement. Yet last week, Islamists in Bangladesh commemorated the 76th death anniversary of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan. They marked the occasion with Urdu songs and poetry. The organizers of this event also invited the Pakistani High Commissioner to Bangladesh as the chief guest. Pakistan's Deputy High Commissioner, Kamran Dangal, addressed the event as per reports. They rejoiced in commemorating Jinnah. They chose to momentarily forget about the atrocities committed by Pakistani forces on Bangladesh. They forgot about the unspeakable war crimes committed by the Pakistani army. Of course, a section of Bangladeshi citizens lambasted the event, calling it an attempt to rewrite history. In fact, a Dhaka-based journalist Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhary said, and I'm quoting, "It was a slap on our war of independence, where 3 million Bengalis sacrificed their lives. I am speechless," quote unquote. And he further asked, is Bangladesh rewriting its history? We wonder too, what has Bangladesh descended into? Shifting focus for now, West Asia is on the boil. For the first time, a Houthi missile reached central Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu is fuming. The Israeli Prime Minister, in fact, has said Israel would inflict a heavy price on the Iran-aligned Houthis. So what do we know about the attack? According to the Houthi military spokesman, Yahya Saraya, the group struck with a new hypersonic ballistic missile that traveled 2,040 kilometers or 1,270 miles in just 11 and a half minutes. What about Israel? What has it said? After initially saying the missile had fallen in an open area, Israel's military later said it had probably fragmented in the air. Nobody was reported hurt. Air raid sirens had sounded in Tel Aviv and across central Israel moments before the impact at around 6:35 a.m. local time, sending residents running for shelter. Loud booms were heard. There were no direct casualties, but 9 people were lightly hurt while seeking cover. But the thing is, the symbolism, the messaging is of extreme significance here. How will Israel react this time around is the big question. What will its response be? Let's just step back a little and look at the bigger picture here. You see, since the Gaza war started in October, the Houthis have fired missiles and drones at Israel repeatedly in what they say is solidarity with the Palestinians. The drone that hit Tel Aviv for the first time in July killed a man and injured 4 people. Israeli airstrikes in response on Houthi military targets near the port of Hodeidah killed 6 and wounded 80. Previously, Houthi missiles have not penetrated deep into Israeli airspace, with the only one reported to have hit Israeli territory falling in an open area near the Red Sea port of Eilat in March. So the latest move is an escalation, to say the least, and has sent tensions in the region skyrocketing. The Houthis, by the way, are warning that there is more to come. According to the Houthi spokesperson, Israel should expect more strikes in the future. The deputy head of the Houthis media office has said in a post on X that the missile had reached Israel after 20 missiles failed to intercept it, describing it as the beginning. The Israeli military also said that 40 projectiles were fired towards Israel from Lebanon on Sunday and were either intercepted or landed in open areas. The thing is, this is a missile strike that has far-reaching implications. Saudi Arabia, for that matter, is jittery. It is asking for more to be done to constrain the supply of weapons to the Houthis. With the Houthis using advanced weapons, the Red Sea region faces increasing threats. Just for context here, Saudi Arabia, which supports the Yemen government opposing the Houthis, believes that Iran has been arming the group. Not just that, for Israel, this latest attack triggers a series of crucial questions about the country's air defense system. Is the country being overwhelmed by these attacks? Has this attack exposed Israel's weakness, leaving Netanyahu red-faced? And that's not even all. There's something else which has left Netanyahu deeply embarrassed. On Sunday, the Israeli military said that there was a high probability that 3 hostages found dead months ago were killed in an Israeli airstrike. You heard that right. The army announced the conclusions of its investigation into the deaths. It said investigations had determined that the 3 were likely killed in a November airstrike that also killed a senior Hamas leader. All 3 of the hostages were kidnapped in Hamas's October 7 attack. Their bodies were recovered in December, but the cause of the death was only recently determined. In fact, in its report, the army said there was a high probability they were killed in the strike based on where the bodies were recovered, pathological reports and other intelligence. But it said it is not possible to definitely determine the circumstances of their deaths. This could not have come at a worse time for Netanyahu. Remember, the anger on the ground shot up further when late last month Israel recovered the bodies of 6 hostages that it says were killed by Hamas shortly before the Israeli forces arrived. The army's announcement is the first time it has linked the deaths of hostages to airstrikes. The conclusions only add further pressure on Netanyahu to strike a deal to bring home the remaining hostages held by Hamas. Critics say it's too difficult and dangerous to try and rescue them. But the big question remains, will Netanyahu do that? If you have been following the news today, you must have heard about how Donald Trump evaded another assassination attempt. But what do we know about the man who dared to undertake such an attack? Why did he want to shoot the former president? Here's what is known so far. Ryan Wesley Routh, the 58-year-old man who was arrested on Sunday for an attempted assassination on Trump, had allegedly expressed the desire to fight and die in Ukraine. You heard that right. A Ukrainian sympathizer was behind Trump's assassination bid. It turns out Ryan Routh was one of thousands of foreign volunteers who headed to Ukraine after the Russia-Ukraine war started in February 2022. In fact, reports say that he even reached the Polish border town of Medyka, where he turned up at the office of the Ukrainian International Legion, only to be rejected. And after his rejection by the Ukrainian forces, he reportedly went to Kiev, where he tried to coordinate volunteers by pitching a tent on the capital's Maidan Square. His views and political activity are now being examined for clues as to the possible motivation behind the attack on the US presidential candidate. The focus is currently on his activity online. His post on the platform X, formerly Twitter, revealed a penchant for violent rhetoric. In the early weeks of the Russia-Ukraine war, he wrote on X, and I'm quoting, "I'm willing to fly to Crackdown and go to the border of Ukraine to volunteer and fight and die." A former contractor from Greensboro, North Carolina, he was interviewed by the New York Times in 2023 for an article about Americans volunteering to aid the war effort in Ukraine. Routh, who had zero military experience, said he had traveled to Ukraine. He said he wanted to recruit Afghan soldiers to fight there. He said he had planned to move them from Pakistan and Iran to Ukraine. It's not clear whether he followed through. But wait, there is more here. On the messaging application Signal, Routh's profile, bio, read, I'm quoting, "Civilians must change this war and prevent future wars." On WhatsApp, his bio read, "Each one of us must do our part daily in the smallest steps, help support human rights, freedom and democracy. We each must help the Chinese," quote unquote. What's more, in a video interview posted by Newsweek Romania in June 2022, he aimed to help recruit foreign fighters to Kiev's cause.
My initial goal was to come and fight. I think, everybody around the globe should be motivated to come here and support the Ukrainians and support the army, no matter what gender, age, anything. Everybody should be here supporting the army.
In total, 3 social media accounts bearing his name suggest he was an avid supporter of Ukraine. Still, the question remains, why Trump? And what exactly did Raut hope to achieve? Could his social media provide some clues? In a post on X on the 22nd of April, he slammed Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. He said, and I'm quoting, "Democracy is on the ballot and we cannot afford to lose." A similar slogan has been commonly used by President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Raut, in his social media post, urged President Biden, when he was running for re-election, to center his campaign on preserving America's democracy and freedom. He also accused Trump of seeking to, quote-unquote, enslave Americans under a master. The 58-year-old was reportedly a supporter of both Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley in the upcoming elections. That's before they decided to drop out of the race. When he was arrested, authorities recovered an AK-47 style assault rifle, a scope, 2 backpacks, and a GoPro device at the scene. Officials stated that the gunman was approximately 300 to 500 yards away from Trump at the time of the incident. Shockingly, the incident came just 2 months after an earlier assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. The former president, remember, was shot in the ear during that campaign rally. Responding to the story, Russia seemed to imply there was a link between the assassination attempt and America's support for Ukraine. The Kremlin, in fact, said that the Ukrainian links of the alleged shooter showed that playing with fire had consequences. The Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said, and I'm quoting, "It's not the U.S. who should be thinking. It is the U.S. intelligence services who should be thinking. In any case, playing with fire has its consequences." The comment was a clear reference to America's support of Ukraine. What was Ukraine's response, you're asking? Well, Kiev on Monday denied links to the man. Ukrainian officials said they had nothing to do with him and instead accused Moscow of seizing on the opportunity for propaganda. With just over 7 weeks to go for the U.S. election, the second attempt on Donald Trump's life highlights the challenge of keeping the presidential candidate safe in a rather tense campaign. Trump's election opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, said on the platform X, "Violence has no place in America." Meanwhile, President Biden directed his team to ensure the Secret Service has the resources that it needs to ensure Trump's safety. Moving on, as Jammu and Kashmir heads for the assembly polls after a gap of 10 years, the mood across the Union Territory is festive. Campaigning is ongoing in every nook and corner, with political leaders leaving no stone unturned to reach out to the public to be voted to power. The first phase of the election will be held on the 18th of September, and security remains one of the major concerns for the security agencies.
With 219 candidates in the fray during the first phase of the election, polling will be held in 24 assembly constituencies in the first phase of the J&K Assembly Elections 2024 on 18th September. In a fresh twist, Engineer Rashid's Awami Ittihad Party has forged an alliance with the Jamaat-e-Islami candidates for the upcoming assembly elections. National Conference leaders allege that these alliances are at the behest of the BJP, who want to divide the votes in the valley. The Awami Ittihad Party, or AIP, and Jamaat-e-Islami, JEI, have come together to go into a pre-poll alliance, and they are calling it a strategic alliance to champion the cause of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. While Jamaat is fighting electoral politics after 4 long decades, the Awami Ittihad Party is fielding candidates across the valley for the first time. Meanwhile, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir Omar Abdullah has criticized the alliance of Jamaat members with Awami Ittihad Party. More than 23.27 lakh voters including 5.66 lakh youths, are eligible to exercise their electoral franchise during the Phase 1, of which 11.76 lakh are male voters and 11.51 lakh female voters, along with 60 third-gender electors. Meanwhile, a three-tier security system has been put in place across the Union Territory, guarding each and every polling booth. There are special polling booths with extra security in areas close to line of control and international border. Around 300 companies of paramilitary forces have been brought in from across India, especially for the election security. This in addition to the already serving Jammu and Kashmir police along with CRPF present in the valley. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Our next story is about China. It's a well-known fact that the Xi Jinping regime is trying to rewrite history to justify his rule. But with each passing day, the communist regime's propaganda efforts are becoming more daring and more bold. Sample this. Last week, China's top security official visited Tibet, where he instructed the local authorities to intensify the crackdown against separatists. Chen Wenqing, the head of the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission, which is the Communist Party's top security body, visited the Tibet Autonomous Region. He also ordered security personnel to carry out more propaganda and more education campaigns. What's the goal? To increase awareness of national identity, quote-unquote, beyond Tibet. There are 10 Tibetan autonomous prefectures across Yunnan, Sichuan, Gansu, and Shanghai. In recent years, China has cast the Tibetan security net wider in order to include more surrounding regions with large Tibetan populations. And what's more, China's top judges and prosecutors have also made their rounds of Tibet. Zhang Jun, president of the Supreme People's Court, also visited Tibetan courts last week. He said it was necessary to hand down tough punishment to keep up the pressure on violent terrorism and ethnic separatism, quote-unquote. You see, Chinese authorities have rolled out new propaganda efforts aimed at countering Western narratives about the human rights situation in Tibet. The visit by the Chinese official comes as America increases support for the region. Recently, the US has passed a new law, remember, urging China to engage in talks with the Dalai Lama, Tibet's exiled spiritual leader. Last month, the Dalai Lama met with senior US officials amid concerns about the Dalai Lama's health. Is a looming succession battle between Tibetans in exile and China. China, which controls Tibet, has called the Dalai Lama a separatist who is seeking Tibet's independence from China. China, in fact, has also tried to erase the Tibetan language and culture through compulsory Chinese language education for Tibetan children. The communist regime has forced hundreds of thousands of rural Tibetans to relocate to urban areas, and it has replaced the name Tibet with the Romanized Chinese name, Xizang, in official documents. This is how it cracks down on so-called separatists by stripping them of their identity, by labeling them terrorists and criminals, by suppressing them, just to put it simply. But while we talk about Tibet, don't forget China's crackdown on Hong Kong. On Monday, a man in Hong Kong pleaded guilty to sedition. He wore a T-shirt with the slogan, quoting, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our times." He has become the first person convicted under Hong Kong's contentious new national security law that was passed in March. 27-year-old Chu Kai-pong pleaded guilty to one count of doing with a seditious intention an act, quote-unquote. You see, under the new security law, the maximum sentence for the offense is 7 years in prison. It could even go up to 10 years if collusion with foreign forces was found involved. Chu was arrested on the 12th of June at an MTR station. He was wearing the shirt with the protest slogan, along with a yellow mask printed with the shorthand of another slogan, 5 demands, not one less. Both slogans were frequently chanted in the massive pro-democracy protests that broke out in 2019. And the 12th of June was a key kick-off day of the months-long unrest. Chu told the police that he wore the T-shirt to remind the people of the protests. Remember, Hong Kong was returned from Britain to China in 1997 under China's promise that its freedoms, including freedom of speech, would be protected under a one country, two systems formula. But Beijing has broken the promise. A national security law was imposed in 2020, remember, punishing secession, subversion, terrorism or collusion with foreign forces. In March this year, a second new security law was passed, a homegrown ordinance also known as Article 23. Critics, including the US government, have expressed concerns over the new security law, saying that the vaguely defined provisions regarding sedition could be used to curb dissent, and that is what has happened today. Shanghai is rarely subject to direct hits from strong typhoons that generally make landfall further south in China, but this time it's a different story. Typhoon Bebinca, the strongest storm in the last 75 years, has wreaked havoc in the megacity. Our next report getting you more details.
The usually bustling financial hub of Shanghai has come to a standstill. Tens of millions of people are hunkered indoors. Typhoon Bebinca, the fiercest storm, has hit the Chinese megacity in 75 years, bringing 25 million to a grinding halt. The strongest typhoon has downed hundreds of trees, toppled electric poles. The powerful storm has blown off billboards, forcing over 400,000 evacuations along its path. Dozens of residents have been moved to temporary shelters in Suzhou, a city west of Shanghai.
It's a little difficult to walk on a typhoon day in such winds, but it's not completely impossible to walk. When walking on the road, be careful of something that blows off, such as tree branches, and be careful of being smashed.
Torrential rains packed with gusty winds have disrupting travel plans of people during the three-day Mid-Autumn Festival holiday. More than 1,400 of flights stand cancelled from the city's two airports.
We are coming from Australia. We came back to visit our family during the public holidays, and then we knew that typhoon is coming tomorrow, so we rescheduled our train from Monday to Sunday, so we can get back to my husband's hometown in Fujian safely.
With over 570 trains cancelled, services at the Shanghai railway station are partially suspended.
Typhoon Bebinca's expected impacts on Jiangsu, Xinjiang, Shanghai and the Yangtze River Delta region led to the cancellation of my train, so I tried to get new tickets for Monday for 3 times. But all 3 trains have been cancelled. Eventually I decided to depart on Sunday.
The city has mobilized thousands of relief and rescue workers to attend to emergencies. Bebinca is the 13th typhoon to hit China this year. Is this vagary of climate or unchecked human onslaught? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
We know that asteroids wiped out dinosaurs and changed the face of planet Earth. But you see, not all asteroids are that dangerous. Even if they were to be, our planet is far better prepared today. Space agencies, after all, track thousands of asteroids and calculate which ones are likely to pose risks to Earth. Now, in less than 10 days, there is an asteroid that could fly by planet Earth. Some are calling it a second moon. But is it really a second moon or a mini moon? Well, here's why it is special. First things first, in our solar system, there are nearly 1 million asteroids, which are space rocks of varying sizes. These objects are freely floating around in space in different paths. Most of them come nowhere close to planet Earth, but there are almost 30,000 asteroids that are known as near-Earth asteroids. And that term, near-Earth, might sound dangerous, but there's nothing to fear. What scientists refer to as near-Earth asteroids are 45 million kilometers or so from planet Earth. Once in a while, these asteroids approach the planet. Most of them miss, some of them enter the Earth's atmosphere and get burned up while falling through the denser layers and create a spectacle in the night sky. Some massive asteroids manage to survive the process of entering the Earth's atmosphere and can fall on land or at sea. And very, very rarely, an asteroid comes close to planet Earth and gets captured by the Earth's gravity. And as a result, it could circle the Earth, like a satellite that humans launch into space, or like Earth's natural satellite, the Moon. We are talking about 2024 PT5, 2024 PT5. That's the designation given to this very special space rock. It measures 33 feet in length. Astronomers have been tracking the space rock for an interesting flyby that it could do. For 2 months, this space rock could circle planet Earth. That is between September 29th and November 25th. It could make a horseshoe-like loop around the Earth and then fly away. Generally, such asteroids that circle the Earth temporarily are known as mini-moons, but don't get misled by the name. They are not likely to be visible to the naked eye. Being so small and flying at blazing fast speeds, it's only sophisticated radars and telescopes that can actually manage to catch a glimpse of these phenomena. Sometimes even defunct satellites or rocket parts appear like asteroids. However, astronomers are quite clear that 2024 PT5 is a natural space rock and not a piece of space debris. On the 7th of August, it was discovered by a NASA telescope known as ATLAS. ATLAS stands for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. According to astronomers' projections, the asteroid is about to perform a 2-month-long slingshot around the planet. But you see, this is no ordinary space rock. Some reports suggest that this could actually be a piece of the moon, which means some object could have hit the moon and a piece of the moon may have been ejected on impact. However, this piece is unlikely to qualify as a mini-moon. Generally, mini-moons complete one full loop around planet Earth, but this one is unlikely to do that. Asteroids are of immense interest to astronomers and space agencies and space enthusiasts. Of course, there is always the apprehension that a massive asteroid could hit and harm planet Earth. On the other hand, there is hope that asteroids could contain precious elements that could be extracted. We've all heard of asteroid mining. Space agencies have also landed robotic crafts and returned samples from asteroids, like NASA's mission. The mission landed on the asteroid and brought 121 grams of precious samples to planet Earth. However, the case of 2024 PT5 is not new. In the year 2006, an asteroid captured by Earth's gravity revolved around our planet for a year, from July 2006 to July 2007. However, the newly discovered 2024 PT5 would be short-lived. Experts say it resembles the path of 2022 NX-1, a temporary flyby that revolved around Earth in 1981 and 2022 without ever completing an orbit. In fact, some of them could make a return. 2022 NX-1 is likely to return and make another semicircle around the Earth in 2051. South Korean firm Samsung is the market leader in India's cost-competitive home appliance segment. In fact, the last 4 months of the year, the festive season, is when all brands look to make significant sales and bump up their profits. Market leader Samsung is facing trouble from within. There is a workers' protest that has been making headlines. Our next report telling you more.
From air conditions to televisions to washing machines and refrigerators, the South Korean firm Samsung assembles them all in this factory in southern India. This massive facility is situated at Sri Perembudur, an industrial hub near the metropolis of Chennai. As India's leading consumer electronics brand, Samsung enjoys serious clout in the market and in customers' minds. The factory, which churns out thousands of appliances every day, is now seeing a major slump in activity. Surprisingly, this comes right ahead of the festive season, when brands ramp up production to meet ambitious sales targets. Today marks 1 week since Samsung India factory workers commenced their protest. So, what's the bone of contention? The most common ones: better pay, balanced work hours, and increased benefits for workers. Samsung India staff have reportedly been putting forth these demands to their management. The employees unionized. They call themselves Samsung India Workers Union. This, of course, is a workers' union with direct affiliation to the powerful Centre of Indian Trade Unions. WION has reached out to Samsung India for a comment. Last week, a Samsung India spokesperson had said in a statement, and I quote, "At Samsung India, the welfare of our employees is our top priority. We actively engage with our workers to address any grievances they may have and comply with all laws and regulations. We will also ensure that there is no disruption to our consumers." Unquote. As per Reuters, Samsung did not respond to a request for comment on Monday, but on Friday said it has initiated discussions with workers at the Chennai plant to resolve all issues at the earliest. After the Samsung India management allegedly failed to recognize this union, hundreds of workers began their protest last Monday, on the 9th of September. They reportedly skipped work, stayed put at a makeshift tent near their factory. Samsung India allegedly tried to float an alternative union and break the union, but things don't appear to have gone as planned. Reports say, this morning, to mark 1 week of the protests, the workers planned a march to the Kanchipuram district collector's office. As they gathered at their pre-planned spot, the cops detained more than 100 protesters. Reportedly, there were no permissions granted for the protests in a crowded public area. It is said that some of the left-leaning union leaders who are not Samsung employees were picked up from their CITU offices. CITU representatives claim that this is a case of illegal detention, with protests entering the second week. Is there a way out of this deadlock? The facility near Chennai that's facing labour unrest is set to contribute nearly $4 billion, or 1/3 of Samsung India's revenue. Couple that with the festive season and it only makes matters more complicated. Protests are not new at Samsung facilities. Over the last few months, worker protests rocked Samsung's facilities in the home country of South Korea. 36,500 members of Samsung Electronics, biggest workers' union in South Korea, had reportedly protested. They too demand higher wages and benefits. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The war in Sudan is not just posing a threat to the country's future, the rich history of the country is also a victim. Historical artifacts were listed for sale on the popular auction site eBay, as per reports. eBay has now removed the link to a jibbeh tunic from the Mahdist revolution. In fact, Sudanese archaeologists claimed the items on sale for $200 had come from the National Museum. The museum is controlled by one of the warring factions of the Sudanese military called the Rapid Support Forces. 2 months after the war broke out between the army and the RSF, the fighters had raided a laboratory at the National Museum in Khartoum. The museum was being renovated by UNESCO when the war started in April last year. The museum is home to more than 2,700 objects, including some dating back to the Paleolithic period. The renovation work has been halted after the war, of course. UNESCO has raised concerns over reports of illicit trafficking of cultural heritage of Sudan. As part of the emergency measures, UNESCO packed and secured endangered collections and prepared safe havens. More than 1,700 objects have been inventoried and digitized from 5 different archaeological museums of Sudan. Artificial intelligence, the new age technology, is revolutionary. However, it poses some serious environmental challenges as well. While big tech companies claim to have put practices in place to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, a new Guardian report has revealed that the true emissions from the data centers of big tech companies, including Google, Microsoft, Meta and Apple, might be 662% higher than reported. The report takes into account the greenhouse gas emissions of these companies between 2020 to 2022. The report suggests that Amazon is the largest emitter among the big 5 tech companies, with Apple ranking second on the list. What's more alarming is the fact that if these 5 companies were one country, the sum of their location-based emissions in 2022 would rank them as the 33rd highest emitting country globally. As per the International Energy Agency report, data centers accounted for over 1.5% of global electricity consumption in 2022. Moreover, the introduction of ChatGPT has led to a surge in AI's electricity demand. Just for context here, an average US household uses around 29 kilowatt hours daily. It's estimated that ChatGPT uses 17,000 times more electricity than an average US household in a day, which is approximately around 500,000 kilowatt hours of electricity daily. According to a Goldman Sachs report, data center power demand will increase by 160% by 2030. Meanwhile, another report by Morgan Stanley estimating that the global data center emissions could reach 2.5 billion metric tons of CO2 equivalent by the year 2030. With the environmental impact of the AI revolution coming into focus, there is an urgent need for ideas and policies that will help make AI greener and more efficient. Let's now shift our focus to the world of fashion. London-born designer Richard Quinn brought bold designs to the catwalk at London Fashion Week. More about the night in our next report. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching.
Namaste. Hello, friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 PM IST, 1 PM GMT.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 PM IST, 3:30 PM GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 PM IST, 1 PM GMT.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 PM IST, 3:30 PM GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Namaste. Hello, friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.